Thank you for joining me this evening. The program tonight is Rise Above the Crowd, what gallerists are looking for in professional artists. I go to art galleries all the time, all over California, and I visit with them and talk to them, and they know what I do. They know that I run Art Gallery and the San Francisco Artist Network, and they're always saying, Stephen, you know, when you meet with the artists, tell them this, or be sure to tell the artists that, or let the artists know this is what we're looking for. And so a lot of what I'm going to share with you tonight and with all the programs that I do are what many art gallery owners from all over California share with me. And so I'm meeting with them, I asked them, you know, so what are you looking for in a new artist? How do you find new artists? What's important to you in working with artists? What makes you want to work with an artist again and again? And so I've gotten so much feedback from art gallery owners all over California that I decided to put this program together and share with you a lot of what they have shared with me about what they're looking for professional artists. So thank you again for joining me this evening for Rise Above the Crowd, what gallerists are looking for in professional artists. We'll go ahead and start the program. Okay, so note that all the suggestions and tips that I'm going to share with you are my opinions from years of experience as an artist and a gallerist, as well as from input and feedback from other art professionals, such as art gallery owners and art organization executives. So remember, there's no one way to do anything. So you may choose to do things in a different way, or if they best for you or your particular situation. So a lot of what I'm going to share with you is what I've discovered or what other gallerists have shared with me. You can choose what works best for you. Gallerists look for artists that create artwork that they can sell. So each gallery has a program, and their program is we work with local artists, or we work with abstract artists, or we show plein air painters, a program that they put together, which is their goal, their qualifications for the artists. So they're looking for artists that match their program. So when you go visit a gallery, look and see what artists are they representing, what work do they have on display, and see if you can identify what their program is. They also look for artists that create artwork that appeal to their clients. So not only do they have their program, but they have their clients that come in that they sell to on a regular basis. And the clients, they have found they have a certain taste. So they look for artists that will appeal to their clients. The gallerists, especially good gallerists, get to know their clients, get to know their tastes, and are in communication with them on a regular basis. They get new pieces in or pick up a new artist. They contact their clients. Hey, we just want to let you know we got 3 more pieces in from such and such artists, or we picked up a new artist that we think you might be interested in. So they're looking for artwork that will appeal to their clients. And they also are looking for artists that create artwork that fall within their price range. So that's another thing to look for when you're looking at art galleries, is what's their lowest price, what's their highest price. And so these are the basic things that gallerists are looking for, artwork that can sell. They're also looking for artists that create a cohesive body of work. So when I ask gallerists that I know, when you're looking for artists, what is the number one thing that you look for? This is the answer I get, is we're looking for a cohesive body of work. So what is cohesive? Cohesive means it's cohesive in subject matter or composition, style, technique, scale or size, shape, medium, presentation, and or framing. So they want to know that if they're representing an artist and they bring their artwork in, that they're going to be able to sell that artwork, and they're going to be able to continue to sell it over the coming years, so that the body of work is cohesive. They know what they can count on. They know that they can sell your work and they can continue to sell it, because you're going to make a body of work that will be cohesive, that will always be within a certain parameter. They're also looking for art that is consistent and identifiable as your artwork in a signature style. So this is a term that many gallerists use. We're looking for a signature style. So that means that when people come into a gallery, they see artwork on the wall and they go, oh, that's a piece by Stephen C. Wagner, or that's a piece by Jane Doe. And so they can recognize their work because they have a signature style. They also look for artists that organize their body of work in series with variations on a theme. So usually there's an umbrella statement for the entire body of work that's cohesive, but then each artist, and I'm an artist, we like to explore and try new things and different things. So we tend to naturally work in series. So they look for artists that have their work organized in series. If they're going to consider you and bringing your artwork in for a show, they're probably going to bring in one series. They're going to bring in work from one series, and they most likely are not going to pick 2 from this series and 4 from that series and 5 from this another series. So make organizing your work by series, and each one having a different theme and a different title. That organizing it makes it easier for them to select your work for their exhibitions. And they're looking for artists that have a sufficient number of pieces to sell. So of course, their main goal, not only to show art, but to sell art. And so they want to make sure that they bring in a new artist to represent that the artist has enough pieces to sell so they can continue representing them. And just to let you know, all these things that I'm covering tonight are covered in greater depth in future programs that we do. Gallerists also look for artists that have a passion for art making. So again, when I've asked gallerists, what advice do you have for an artist that's just starting out, or an artist that's an emerging artist in their career? And I've gotten many gallerists that say, I want to see that they have passion about their art, and their passion comes through their work. So that's really important to them, that the artists are driven to make art, that the artists are professional, and they are looking for artists that are sincere and honest in what they are sharing in their work. So that passion, that sincerity of what you want to say in your work and why you're making your work is important to gallerists as well. So gallerists look for artists that create artwork with a strong statement or message. So they're looking for artists that have an impressive artist statement. So your artist statement is basically your mission statement. This is your opportunity to fully discuss your personal beliefs, influences, motivations, and purpose in making artwork. And so the artist statement is something that's really important to the gallerists. They look to this to learn about your work and know what insights they will be able to share with their clients. So a well-written artist statement can be an important tool for galleries in selling your work to potential clients. Gallerists expect artists to have a vocabulary that demonstrates their professionalism, education, and knowledge of art history and aesthetics. So that's part of what they look for when they're reading your artist statement, is what is your vocabulary? Are you educated in art history? Where do you fall within the history of art and art today? And what aesthetic ideas do you have? And so the artist statement has become more and more important because the art world has changed over time. So I've been doing artwork since I was in junior high school. I actually was showing and selling my work in coffee houses, outdoor art fairs, and galleries when I was in junior high school. My mother was an artist and owned an art gallery. And so I got exposed to the art world very early on. And back then, it was pretty easy to sell artwork. If you did a nice piece that was well crafted, well painted, nice composition, good colors, subject matter people were interested in, and it was the right price, it was pretty easy to sell. But things started to change in the 60s and 70s, and conceptual art emerged. And so the concept behind the artwork became more and more important. And you would find museums back then would have conceptual art shows. And so the art educated public, the people that go to museums on a regular basis and go to galleries on a regular basis, were then trained to look for artwork that had a strong message. And so they started going to galleries expecting a strong statement from the artwork as well. And they wanted to talk to the gallerists. And what is the artist trying to say? Why is the artist making the work? So this has become important to the gallerists as well, because it's become important to the clients. So gallerists expect artists to be able to talk about their work and their art making process. So they want to not only see it in writing, but they want to be able to talk to the artist about this. You want to develop a relationship with them and keep the communication open and ongoing as you work with gallerists. So gallerists also look for artists that are professional and have a commitment to their art career. So they're looking for artists that exhibit artwork on a regular basis. They look to your resume and your artist bio. And what are they looking for on your resume? When I ask them that, they say, well, we're not looking for, they had a museum show or they have a master's necessarily, but we're looking for evidence that they are a professional artist. And we're looking for evidence that they have a commitment to their art career, that they make art on a regular basis. They love art and they show their art on a regular basis. So they look at your exhibit history on your resume and they look to see, where have you shown your work? And even if you're just starting out, showing in coffee houses and cafes and restaurants or bank lobbies or theater lobbies, that's how we all start out. So even if you're just starting out, include those on your exhibit history. You can enter juried exhibitions. There's a lot of national juried exhibitions that you can submit your work to, and they have a blind jury. Also, you could join art organizations in your area and exhibit your work through the art organizations, through their member shows and things like that. So it's important to build up your exhibit history. So they're looking for artists that exhibit artwork on a regular basis. They're looking for artists that may be members of art organizations, both local and national. So again, this is a demonstration that an artist is committed to their career, that they join these art organizations, these local organizations or national societies, that they're a member of the National Watercolor Society, or they're a member of their local art association. And so you can not only exhibit your work, but you can teach through these art organizations, you can volunteer, you can meet other artists. So it's a great benefit to artists to be members of these organizations, and you should include your affiliations with art organizations on your resume. They're also looking for artists that have taken classes to grow their skill. So you may have a degree in art, or you went to art college, and you definitely want to include that. But if you've also taken classes from local artists or at a local art organization, and you've taken classes ongoing, they want to see that. They want to see, oh, look, this artist, they continue to take classes. Look, they've been taking classes at the Pacific Art League for the last 5 years. Oh, and they've taken classes with so-and-so and this artist. And so it shows that the artist has commitment to their art career, that they're continuing to grow. So including classes that you've taken is a good idea to include on your resume. If you teach art, you definitely want to include that on your resume as well. If you're so proficient in your art that you can teach it, that speaks very highly of you. And they're also looking for artists that are active in social media and can bring followers, fans, and art aficionados to opening receptions, artist talks, and gallery events. So that's something that's really important in this day and age. Social media is the main way that we get the word out about events and programs and openings and things like that. And so that you have a Facebook and Instagram account is important to them. So when they find a new artist, that's one of the first things they do. They go to your website and they go to your social media. They look at the people that follow you, how many followers you have. They look at your post, and they look for somebody that's active in social media. So that's something that's important to them, because when they have an opening reception or an artist talk coming up, they expect the artists that are participating to get the word out as well. And so they look for the artists to help bring in people into the events. Okay. And so they're looking also for artists that are active in the art community, artists that volunteer at a museum, or artists that show their work through open studios, that go to art events and art openings on a regular basis. One of the things I asked gallerists is, how do you find new artists for your gallery? And I was very surprised. The number one answer I got was, we find artists through recommendations of artists that we already work with. And that really surprised me. So what does that tell us? That we need to network with other artists, because other artists may recommend us to a gallery. The second answer that I get to this question is, we usually pick up artists that we already know. So how do they get to know an artist? An artist goes into their gallery and visits with them. And over time, you build up an organic relationship. So what I like to do is, during the week when it's not busy, I go into the gallery, I visit with them, I talk about the show, ask questions, and I don't go in there presenting myself as an artist looking for representation, but I go in there just to have an organic, natural conversation with them as an art lover. And usually they I have a vocabulary that they realize that this must be an artist. They usually ask, oh, are you an artist? Well, yes, I am. And then I kind of deflect and say, oh, this piece over here is really great. And so they end up finding out that I'm an artist, and eventually they want to go to my website or find out more about me and let that grow organically. So for example, James Bocci, that owns Art House Gallery in San Francisco, I got to know him over several years. And when he decided to have a South of Market artists exhibition, he realized I was an artist that lived in South of Market. And so he contacted me and said, Stephen, you come into the gallery on a regular basis. We love your work. Would you like to be part of this exhibition? And so that was an organic method that he found me through networking, through my going to visit the gallery. So that's something that's really important to them as well. And that makes it easier for them. Okay, so they also look for artists that have a strong artist portfolio website. So they look for an artist website on your homepage. They're looking for an image that shows your best current artwork that will capture their attention. And what they share with me is when they go to your website, they're going to make a decision when they see the homepage and they see the image on that page. Is this an artist that's worth looking into, or I'm not interested? And they say that they make an instant decision just from the image on the homepage. Yes, we're going to look, or no, we're not going to look. So it's really important to them that, because they're so busy and they have such little time, that you have an image that's really going to capture their attention, that's going to make them want to investigate you and learn more about you. And even if it's not just one image, it could be 2 or 3 images on the homepage. And they're also looking for a portfolio page. So a portfolio page should be organized into series or collections in a way that makes sense by theme or subject matter. So you can see an example of a portfolio page at the bottom of this slide. You can see there's 3 different series, and there's a title for each series, and then below is an artist statement, and the artist statement is the umbrella artist statement for the entire body of work. And there's an image for each of the series. And so the gallerists will go and they'll see the 3 different series and go, oh, series 1, oh, I really like this image. Let's look at that. So the image is what draws them in. Then they go to your series page. They click on the image on the portfolio page, and it takes them to the series page. And the images are organized in a grid pattern that are easily seen at a glance for an overview of the series. So you start out with the artist statement for the series, so a short statement about the series and what it's about, and then a grid pattern of images of the work that's in the series. And they love to have a website organized this way because then they can see, oh, look at this series. Oh, there's 20 pieces in the series. They can get an overview of the series and get an idea what this whole series is about. And then they can click on this one that they really like, and then look at this one that they really like. And they can go back and forth and share with me that they find this makes it easiest for them to observe and find the artwork on your page that's worth looking at. So you have the thumbnail images of pieces in the series, and they suggest 10 to 20 images per page. And if you have more than 20 images in a series, you might have a second page. You can have at the bottom, click here to see additional pieces in this series. And then you click on an image and you get a larger view. So they want to, they see the grid pattern, they click on one and they get a larger view and they can see it in more detail. And that's where all the relevant piece information should be, which would include the title, the media, the year, and the price, and maybe a short description about the piece. I'm seeing more and more artists putting that on their website, a short description, just something personal or unique about that one piece in particular. They also look at your bio page, and they love to have a photo of you where they can put a face to the name so they can see who you are. They love also seeing images of you in your studio, you at work. It really informs them about who you are as an artist, your process, where you work, and things like that. And that really romances who you are. So that's important to them. And they want to see an up-to-date artist biography and artist resume with your exhibition history. So that's something, as I talked about before, that's really of interest to them, so they can see your commitment as an artist and your history in showing in your artwork. Okay. So other things in general that gallerists share with me. In working with artists, they expect artists to sign their artwork. So when you sign your artwork, it's like you said, I'm the artist, I've finished this work, and here I've signed it. So if an artwork is not signed, it means that it's not necessarily finished, it's incomplete. And they want a signature that is recognizable so that people can see your signature, read it, and recognize it. So that's something that they find is really helpful. Also, they look for artists that properly label their artwork. So if they're going to work with you and you deliver your artwork to the gallery, they want to make sure on the back of each piece, they have your name, the title of the piece, the size, the medium, the information on the piece. So as they're hanging the show, they can match up the wall labels with the proper pieces, and they can check the delivery record. So that's important that it's properly labeled. You would not believe how many pieces of artwork come into our gallery at ARC that do not have a label, do not have the artist's name on it. And I have to go and search and figure out who the artist is. And it's very challenging. They're looking for artists to deliver artwork on time. And you may laugh at that, but it's amazing how many gallerists tell me so many artists bring in their work after the delivery date. So they have to pick up the phone and call them, or they bring in some of the work, but not all the work, or they bring in pieces that are still wet, that are not dry yet. And this is very frustrating for the gallerists. They're also looking for artists that will deliver their artwork in good condition, where there's not scratches on the frame or scratches in the glass or soiled mats or crooked mats or damage to the piece. They're looking for artwork that's ready to hang. So they're looking for artwork that has wire on the back to make it easy for them to hang the artwork. So they're looking for artwork that's in good condition. And again, as a gallerist, I am amazed every show that we have at least one artist that brings in artwork that does not have any hanging hardware on the back. And we usually have artists that bring in artwork where the frame is scratched or damaged, and we can't sell pieces where the frame is damaged like that. So it's really important that you deliver your artwork in good condition. And you want to deliver your artwork with a printed and digital delivery record. So you want to list all the information, the title, the size, the medium, the price, etc. Have that printed out and email them with an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document that has all that information. So when they're going through your work and they're hanging it, they can double check to make sure that they have all the accurate information. So that's really important to them. They're looking for artists that will attend their opening receptions and participate in artist talks. So they use these to really promote the shows and their artists. And so it's really embarrassing to have, as a gallerist, to have an opening reception and then not have all the artists attend. And people ask, oh, is the artist here? I'd like to ask him some questions. And the artist isn't there. So it's really important to the gallerists that an artist is willing to attend the opening receptions and participate in their artist talks. And they're looking for artists to help promote the events through social media and send email newsletters announcing the exhibition and the events as well. So that's something that they look for also. And then they're looking for artists that will pick up their artwork on time after the exhibitions. So there's a turnaround time. They have new artwork coming in. They're going to put up another exhibition, and they have a limited amount of storage space. So they want to make sure that the artists will pick up their artwork on time after the exhibition is over. So when I talk to gallerists and I say, you know, what makes you want to work with artists again and again? These are the answers that I get. So the artists that don't do these things are artists that they don't want to work with again. So if somebody doesn't deliver their work on time, or they don't pick up their work after the exhibition on time, they don't come to the opening reception, they don't promote the program or the event through social media, that they don't deliver the artwork in good condition. These are artists that the gallerists are probably going to phase out or not offer a solo show to. So you want to make sure that you do all these things, and they're going to want to work with you again and again. So I kind of rushed through because I wanted to make sure we left time for questions and answers here. And during the programs that I normally do, we spend a lot of time with the Q&As, and I really enjoy that. So I want to be able to answer your questions as much as possible. Okay, Bao, go ahead and unmute yourself.
So when you're talking about the pages where you have the artwork and putting them in a series, do we need to put every piece of work that we have in the series? Let's say we have like 30 plus pieces. Do you think that's a bit much if we put all of them on there, or should we just do the best of?
So they don't want to be overwhelmed with too many pieces, and they don't want to see your work that's not as successful. So I think you want to really impress the gallerist by putting your best work up there. And let's just say, as you said, you did 30 pieces and maybe 10 are you're just not as proud of as the other 20. So you put the 20 best on there. As an artist myself, every piece I make is not a masterpiece, unfortunately. There's some pieces that are just not as good as others. And so you don't need to include every piece on your website. You want to put the best pieces up there. Okay, thanks for asking the question, Bao. Yes, Kara, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi there.
Hi.
So I know that gallerists receive email outreach on a daily basis. And if we're looking to reach out to galleries from a different state or someone that we can't meet in person, do you have any recommendations on how we can make sure that our message really rises to the top and grabs their attention?
Okay, specifically if you're out of state where you physically can't go into the gallery. So first off, you should go to the gallery's website and look at their submission page. They may have a submission policy on a submission page, or it may be on their contact page. Sometimes they don't have one. But the first thing I want to do is find out what their submission policy is. And 95% of the galleries, their submission policy is email us with a link to your website. It's as simple as that. Sometimes they'll ask for attachments of images or attachments of your CV or resume, but the majority of the time they're looking for an email with a link to your website. If you do that, what they've shared with me is, Stephen, you would not believe how many artists send us an email and they don't know who we are, that we deal only with abstract art, and they're sending us links to plein air paintings and landscape paintings. So what I've been talking to gallerists, what they say is, we pay attention to the artists who treat us with respect and acknowledge who we are. So if you physically have been able to go into the gallery, when you email them, you can say, I was in your gallery in Laguna Beach last week, and I was impressed with your collection of artists and your presentation. So what I did is I just said, I've been to your gallery. And I complimented them. But if you're not able to physically go, you can say, I visited your website and was impressed with your most recent exhibition and your selection of artists or something. And so what you're doing is say, I know who you are, I've done my research. And that immediately makes them impressed with you, because the majority of artists don't know who they are. They don't treat them with respect. So that's an important thing to include when you're approaching a gallery through email. Also, just have a really brief introduction of who you are. You can say, I'm a photographer in Newport Beach, and I explore movement and nature through waterfalls and clouds. And I won first place at the Delmore Art Fair, included in the such and such National Juried Exhibition. Just a couple things, and say, or I invite you to visit my website at the following. So the other thing is, you send an email, they tell me we don't scroll up and down on the email. So all the words need to be within the body of the email that they're going to see, and the link needs to be where they can see it. So again, they share with me that they don't really have much time to investigate these things. And they say that they may get up to 100 artists that contact them each week. So that's quite a few. So doing the email in the right way makes that more likely that they're going to read it and click on it. I find that if I send out an email and I haven't heard anything back from them, I usually wait 2 or 3 weeks and I follow up with another email. I sent you an email with the link to my website 3 weeks ago. I just wanted to follow up to see if you had time, because sometimes they're on vacation or they're really busy installing a show and they don't have time to reply right away. And so I'll send them a follow-up. And usually if I don't hear back from them after the second email, then I kind of give, I'm not going to bother them again in that manner. So another thing that gallerists tell me is they really don't want to be receiving stuff in the mail. They want to get a big packet that they have to put back in an envelope and mail it back to you. So, but if you put something in the mail to them that they don't have to return, it's something that's going to get your name and your image in front of them. And very few artists now send postcards or packets or booklets to galleries. So if you do, you stand out. So if you put together a really nice booklet through Shutterfly or something like that, that's not too expensive, you could send that to a gallery. And several artists that I talk to that are nurturing relationships with gallerists, they send them a packet every year. And they say they get a letter back. Oh, thank you so much for sharing the packet. We really like progress of the work that you've done this year, and we look forward to seeing your next packet. So, we may even develop a relationship over time, and they may not be ready to take you on now, but in a few years they might. Does that answer your question, Kara?
That was so helpful. One
Okay,
quick
great.
follow-up. Would you ever
Sure.
include an image of your work in the original email outreach, or just the link to your website?
Okay, so I know that some of the gallerists do ask for us to include an image, but I also have found that when you attach an image or embed an image, sometimes the email will go to spam. It depends on the filter. And so I don't like to take a chance on that. So I'd rather send an email that doesn't have an image attached or embedded. So it's a better chance that it's not going to go to spam. But you can take a chance if you like.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for your question. Anybody else have a question? Raise your hand and I'll call on you. Yes, Robert Temple, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you for doing this. And I'm an artist that makes lamps from recycled materials. And so I'm wondering if there are any galleries that, as the way that I might find galleries that would be interested in the kind of work that I do. It's obviously not paintings that go on walls. So, I've exhibited a few places, but they're not really made a major push at galleries. So I was wondering if you just have any ideas about that.
Okay, well, that's a good question, and I'm glad you asked that. So one thing that I found as an artist looking for galleries to show my work is I look for artists that do work similar to mine, not the exact same thing, but do something similar. Like if I used to paint on glass in reverse and it was all about color. So I looked for other artists that were doing work that was similar, that was all about color, that was non-representational. And then I'd look at their website and find out what galleries represented them. So look for other people that are doing work that's similar to what you do, and then look at where they're showing and selling their work. The other thing that I found when I was painting on glass is a lot of galleries looked at that as being a craft and not fine art. That's not a painting. We only sell paintings. So I discovered that if I turned to galleries that sold a variety of media, they embraced what I was doing. So they would sell paintings and sculptures and kaleidoscopes and wooden boxes and jewelry. And so I got into 12 art galleries with that series over 2 years by using that strategy. And so you might look for galleries that carry a variety of media, and they're more likely to embrace the type of artwork that you do than just a gallery that has artwork that hangs on the wall.
Sure, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for asking your question. So Patrick, John Hayes, you have a question? You want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, thanks. This is great. So my question is, you talked about having a cohesive body of work. What about if one has like several or more than one cohesive bodies of work? So I paint large abstract paintings, but I also do a lot of pastel life drawings. And I suspect that if anything, basically my question is, should I keep that all together, or should I make like two versions of myself and have one for each style or each approach?
Okay, well, that's also a good question, and I've had to deal with that as well. So I do two different types of work altogether. I have my fine art, makes social political comments about the challenging world that we live in, and that's under my name, stevencwagner.com. But I have a different side of myself. I love San Francisco and I love California, and I make artwork that celebrates California, and I do whimsical images that are fun and colorful. And so I have a separate website, and I use the name San Francisco Headquarters, SFHQ. And so I have a separate website, and I put my work that celebrates San Francisco and California on that website. And so they don't cross-reference each other. So if I'm contacting a gallery for fine art, I send them a link to stevencwagner.com. If I'm contacting a gallery for fun, whimsical stuff, I send them sfhq.net. And so by creating two different websites, I can separate the images. When I talk to gallerists, and I've asked them this kind of question, they've said, if we look at an artist's website and they're doing too many different things, they're all over the map. And the first thing we think is, how can they be good at any one thing when they're doing so many different things? So they immediately are prejudiced against you if you do too many different things. So you might want to consider having two different websites.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions? Raise your hand. I'll be happy to call on you. Judith Johnson, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I've been thinking about revising my website to break it down into series, because I've always worked in series. My question is that within a series, I have works on canvas or panel, but I also have works on paper and occasionally some assemblage pieces that are part of that series. For instance, it may be, the series may be about maps, and, and I use multiple media in one series. And so in the past, I've kind of arranged my website, as paintings, works on paper, and then assemblage. But I really feel like the series are more important than the media in these. So
Okay.
do you think that's a problem, having multiple media in one series?
Okay, so most gallerists tell me when you set up your series, it's like you're the curator showing the gallerists how you want them to set up a show of your work. So if you want them to do an exhibition of your work, so say give you a solo exhibition, and you want it to be a variety of media that all relates to the same subject matter, then set up your website that way.
Okay.
So they're looking to you to set the tone of how your artwork is grouped. And usually they like the artwork grouped by theme and concept, and not necessarily just by medium. So if you have a very strong concept, let's say you have 3 different series, each has a very strong concept, you'd have your series with your variety of media in there. And you might organize it. You'd have maybe all the paintings first, all the assemblages next, and then all the sculptures third, or something like that. Or you may have, let's just say, I'm just making this up, you have a specific mythical character that appears. So you put the 3 Venuses together, you put the 4 Apollos together, you put the 5 Jupiters together, you might organize it that way. So there's different ways of organizing it.
Hey, that's pretty close.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks for your question. Okay, we have time for some more questions. Okay, Michael, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you so much. Generally speaking, when I go to different websites, I just see the image. Would you suggest or consider actually showing the image framed? Would that be a help or a detriment?
So usually if an artist is framing their work, they have pieces in a series, they're all framed the same way. So I don't need to see, as a gallerist, each piece in that frame, but it might be helpful at the bottom of the page of that series, you show some pieces on display in a gallery or in a room, in an office, that shows me how they're presented and what the frame looks like. So having an image or 2 at the bottom of the page that shows me how it will be presented and what it looks like framed is very helpful. But most gallerists don't want to see the frame and every single image in your series page. Okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure. So thank you for joining me tonight. One thing I like to do as I close the program is, is just get some feedback of what you felt you got out of this program, like something that you felt was really a great takeaway or something that was important to you. So I'm just going to call on a few people and ask you to unmute yourself and share with me anything that you felt was really important to you. Like Kate Carlson, do you mind unmuting yourself and share with me something that you thought was a good takeaway from tonight's program?
Sure. Hi, Stephen.
Hi.
Yes. Actually, something that you just said piqued my interest, and that was that one should have on your website a photo of an installation of your work, of how it looks in a room and so forth. I think I perhaps have one of those, but I think I could up the ante on that a little bit better.
Okay, good. Thanks for sharing that with us. Okay, good to see you. Lydia Hausenhauer, you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and share with us something you felt that was important or new that you heard tonight?
Hi, Stephen. Thanks so much for presenting tonight. I just wanted to say I really liked the out-of-state question and your answer to that one, because that was really good and really helpful to just that visual of the no scroll and perhaps the spam filter warning. That was very informative. Thank you so much.
Sure, good. Okay, and let's see, Leslie Plimpton, you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and share with us something that you felt was new or unique that you heard tonight?
Yeah, hi, Stephen. Yeah, I was just thinking about my own website and how I organize it. And you mentioned something that sounded really important, and that was about organizing your work in a way that the gallery might want to present your show. And previously I'd been doing it by technique, but I'm doing this big series and it seems smarter maybe to organize it that way. So that was a really big takeaway for me tonight.
Good, I'm glad that you felt that was very helpful for you. Thank you. Okay, let's see, who else do we have here? Judith Johnson, you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and share with us something that you thought was an important takeaway from tonight's program?
Sure. Well, in addition to your good answer to my question, because that's very helpful, I've been keeping my eye on these portfolio reviews and you know, I've been wanting to do that for a while, but I had no idea that it included, you know, a 2-hour preparation class. And so I really want to do that in the next, you know, sometime in the next 6 months when I have time.
Okay, good.
Sounds great.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see who else is here. So Marcia Connell, do you care to unmute yourself and share with us something that you felt was important or worthwhile that you learned tonight?
Actually, I was thinking about when you said to look for galleries where they're showing somebody's work that is in the same vein as yours.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. Okay, let's see who else. Annie Cook, you want to unmute yourself and share with us something that you felt was a good takeaway from tonight's program?
Hello, Stephen.
Hi.
I took all of your presentations and I'm always amazed at, I didn't think that I would learn something new, but I'm realizing that taking your classes, one has a tendency to push back some information and forget. And just taking your class, your presentation and listening, it really does bring things that kind of were put into a gray zone back up like before me. I don't know how to express that, but it's very important to listen to your stuff, because you always bring up things that are always unfolding, things I forget.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. I try to put a lot of information in the programs to remind you of things that are really important. So thank you, Annie. Paul Rassenhoff, do you want to unmute yourself and share with us anything that you felt was new or important that you heard tonight?
Sure. It was a very useful presentation, particularly picking up on presenting the website in a way similar to the way you'd want the work exhibited. And it got me really thinking about the idea of series, because I tend to work in series, but not self-consciously. They emerge, and they might over time might be working on a different range of series thematically, basically. And so it's giving me good food for thought about how to reorganize my web page, which is done more by genre, like figures, still lifes, drawings, something like that, and to somehow to make it thematic or in a coherent way, I think it's very helpful. So thank
Good.
you.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad to hear that. Okay. So one more person, Richard Waller, if you want to unmute yourself and share with us something that you felt was a great takeaway from tonight's program.
Well, Stephen, although I've been drawing and painting my entire life, I didn't take it seriously until 2016 after I retired. And I put together a body of work, probably a little over 100 paintings and plus drawings. And so this is eye-opening for me. I did set up a website through GoDaddy.com. It's not organized at all. I just have my work out there. I don't have any presence on Facebook or on Instagram. I have had some of my works in shows. I've had actually more than 27 of my paintings in one at one gallery. So, but I'm just really embarking on this, and so this is very informative. I'm looking forward to trying to take some additional, of the workshop that you're holding, and of course trying to find some place that I can kind of latch on to work with other artists. I've been working alone for a long time, so.
Okay, Richard, well, thank you for sharing that. You know, there's so many artists that I work with that came to their art career later in their lives. And so a lot of what the programs that I do are tailored towards those artists. So I think you'll find the upcoming programs that find them very helpful and worthwhile for you. Also, I do one-on-one consulting via Zoom. So I do 1 hour sessions for $125. And I help you to jumpstart your artist career and help you develop strategy, goals, and action plans for your career as well. So if you'd like more information about setting up a 1 hour one-on-one online consultation, you can email me again at stephen5w@sbcglobal.net. And I also run the San Francisco Artist Network portfolio reviews online via Zoom. And you can meet one-on-one with 3 different gallerists, 15-minute sessions, and get in-depth review and critique of your artwork and website. And so basically these are every other month. The portfolio reviews include a San Francisco Artist Network portfolio review preparation workshop. So it's a 2-hour online program that prepares the artists for the reviews and goes over what the process is, what to say, what not to say, how Zoom works in this, and how to go to the breakout rooms, etc. And then also your website, how the website is best organized, and what the gallerists are looking for in your website and the content. And so it's a 2-hour program to prepare you for the portfolio review, and that's included with the fee. And so you can register with any of these programs on the sfartistnetwork.org website. So thank you everybody for joining me tonight. It was good to see so many new faces.